expecting it to be this good.
No?
I was expecting to, try it. I was going to say, it's okay, not the best, not the worst. But it is surprisingly good. I might have to take another bite.
Alright, so today we are learning about standard deviation and how to use our calculator to find it. Basically, what is standard deviation? So standard deviation tells us how spread out the data is from the mean. So if we have a small standard deviation, we have all our data very closely pulled together from the mean, whereas if we have a large standard deviation, it means our data is really well spread out. So I'm going to have a little diagram here that kind of gives you a little bit of a visual about how it works. So as you can see, like the more further out, the higher the standard deviation, we can see that data is spreading out. And then as the standard deviation goes down, we can see the data points coming closer together. Okay, so that's what standard deviation is. So today we're going to be learning about how to calculate it because it is a really complex formula. If you have a look here, that's a pretty complex formula, some things I don't understand. Okay, so we're going to work out how our calculator will do all the heavy lifting for us, as well as learning how to tell the difference between a sample standard deviation and a population standard deviation, because there are two standard deviations that your calculator gives you, and we're going to talk about which one you need to choose given your scenario. So let's get into it. Okay, so you're going to get these questions today in our lesson, and this first one is going to be the exemplar that I'm going to go through in this video, so you can kind of follow along when you've got this question in front of you, so you've got a bit of an understanding of how to work it out. A football coach records the number of training sessions attended by every player in the senior squad during a 6-week training block. Here are the number of training sessions. Okay, calculate the minimum, maximum, range, mean, median, first quartile, third quartile, and interquartile range. All right, so we know that if we put our data in, so I've got all the data in already. I've been a little bit sneaky about it, done some prep work, and I go to my calculator, one variable, tells me what the mean is. Okay, I can scroll down and it will tell me what the minimum, the maximum, my Q1, Q3, my median is. Then it'll also tell me, and I just do some simple calculations to work out, will 12 take 6, our range is 6. Our interquartile range is 11 take 8, so that's 3. Okay, so all those things are there done. Now, like I said before, there are two types of standard deviation. The first is sample standard deviation. Okay, and when we jump over to our calculator, and we have these two numbers here, so OX and SX. So this little, I don't think it's actually an O, but we're going to call it OX, just for clarity's sake. OX, this represents our population standard deviation, and SX represents our sample standard deviation. Okay, the sample standard deviation, we would use that if we are taking a sample of people or sample of objects to kind of analyze and collect statistics from. And obviously the population standard deviation is the one we would use if we are using everyone. Okay, it is a census where we are, right, we've got all the data from everyone. So in this scenario, because we are evaluating every player in the senior squad, okay, we would use that population standard deviation. Okay, if it was, a sample of every second player's attendance, well, then that's a sample, and that's SX. But because it's every player in the squad, we use that OX. Okay, calculate the appropriate standard deviation, 1.70. Okay, one player attended only 3 training sessions. Explain how adding this result to the data set would likely affect the mean. Well, the mean would probably drop a little, okay, because we've got someone that's attending a lot less, almost like a bit of an outlier, a bit of a lazy person, if you ask me. The median, again, that would probably drop a little bit too, because we've got 24 data sets. It wouldn't drop massively. Honestly, if we added it, it could even be 10, because you have a look, you've got a number of people that attended 10 training sessions, so it might still be 10. The range, well, that will dramatically change, because if we have a look here, our maximum is 12 and our minimum is 6. Okay, that's now changing from 12 to 3, so we're increasing our range by 3. It's now 9. And then the standard deviation, well, that would change a little bit too, because now our data is more spread out. Like we saw with that little table before, when you have more data points that wider out on the graph, so they're more scattered throughout the graph, the standard deviation is going to increase a little bit. So those are the effects that would have on that. Okay, and that is how we calculate standard deviation. Again, really simple. It's just making sure we put the right stats in, we be thorough with it, and we make sure we are checking which standard deviation is the appropriate one to use, because it's really important in the exam. All right, and that is all for today's episode. Smash that subscribe button, and let's keep on rolling.